Thanks a lot for joining us here on KC2. This is a Purpose Rwanda show for a purposeful and addiction-free Rwanda. I am Levi Mutanganshuro. Today, we are going to discuss how to recover from alcohol abuse. And joining me today is Denis AKANDWANAHO. He's an occupational therapist at Teen Challenge Rwanda, a faith-based rehabilitation center here in Rwanda. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
And as a purposeful agent of transformation, I think I'm becoming a resident panelist.
Yes, as he just said, this is not his first time here at Purpose Rwanda. It's not the first time that we are hosting him in Purpose Rwanda show. And the last time you came, you were sharing with us the story of how you quit drugs and that journey. And I think many people learned a lot from your testimony. And it's because we've not heard from them to tell us that now I'm going to quit because of his testimony, but I'm sure there are a couple of people who of course will quit because of your testimony. And as I've just said, we are going to discuss how to recover from alcohol abuse. And as we begin, maybe you can begin by explaining to us what is the meaning of alcohol abuse.
Yep. Shortly before, I just want to thank people who gave me some feedback. Not many, but the very few.
Yes.
I do appreciate them. It's good to know that someone has been blessed, and that's what keeps us coming back. Now, getting into today's topic about alcohol abuse. I would say alcohol abuse is between use and addiction.
Yes.
You're no longer using, but you're not yet graduated to a full-blown addict.
Yes.
Simply stated, I would say alcohol abuse is problematic or problem drinking. You've started having problems with your drinking.
Yes. Yeah. And what are those problems, if you can name a few?
The problems could be some negative effects in your responsibilities. You're no longer able to fulfill your responsibilities as a student, as a worker, as a family member, because of what you do when you're drunk, or because of the hangover. Or the other problems could be with the law. You're starting to drive, for example, under the influence. Yes, you're starting to fight. You're starting to do things that are against the norms. Then also we cannot understate the fact that you may do some things that are dangerous, like you're mixing drugs, you're going against the doctor's advice.
Yes.
So they have told you don't mix with alcohol, but you're taking medication with alcohol. All those are problematic signs that show that you're starting to have issues with your drinking. Yes.
And then one more question that one would ask is, what are the causes of one being in alcohol or abusing alcohol? What are the causes? Before we even go to how to prevent, to how to help people quit that thing, what causes one to be an alcoholic?
An alcoholic, there are many causes. I don't know, but it's good to repeat them. The first is that it tends to run in families. If you have people in your family that are having issues with alcohol, chances are that if you indulge in those activities, you'll be alcoholic. And also, if you're a heavy drinker or you're abusing alcohol, chances are that you'll end up an alcoholic. If you start when you're still young, underage drinking highly exposes you to be a drunkard. But we also have some issues with personality, someone's nature, or he has underlying medical issues, depression, anxiety. There's ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So because you're depressed because of low self-esteem or poor self-image, you try to self-medicate with alcohol, and you end up being an alcoholic. Yes,
and having seen the causes, or some of the common causes that can make one become an alcoholic, what are the side effects of this particular thing before we even go to quitting? Because that's the next thing that we're going to discuss.
The effects are cross-cutting. They are cross-cutting from the individual to the family to the society. At an individual level, you will have low productivity at work or whatever you're doing. It will start to show that some things are being affected, your health is affected, your finances are affected, your ability to make decisions is affected. As a family, you find that many people are having issues with domestic violence.
Yes.
Many people are having issues with relationships because of alcoholism. And also at work, you know, you're delaying, you're not working, you're fulfilling your obligations. So they are cross-cutting. In the community, we have many accidents, we have many crimes that are all attributed to this alcohol issue, and it affects development,
yes,
both to the individual and in general.
The country at large. Yeah. Yes. Now, as our topic of the day says, how to recover from alcohol abuse. If I'm having this problem, where do I start from? If I'm to break this chain, where do I start from?
Thank you. If I may, if I had you right, that's when you're beyond, you have accepted, now you admit that.
Yes. And maybe we can even begin, yes, we can first begin with admitting, because that's the first step if I...
Yeah, because if someone is not desperate, if someone does not say, you know, I'm hooked, that person is not ready to break the chain.
Yes.
They will always, as I said, that there are 3 stages. The user is the person who usually takes, researchers say, maybe 2 drinks a day. That's 14 in a week for men, or 7, 1 drink a day and 7 in a week for women. So if you are below 14 bottles in a week, you're considered a user.
Yes.
If you're above 15, you're considered an abuser. And what characterizes abusers is that they are always having excuses. You tell him, you'll say, probably this, it is because of my work, it is because of stress, it is because of people at home. So the abusers are not at the stage of change. But the addict is not even interested in you asking him what happened, how long. All he wants is, look, I am hooked. I have reached the end of myself. I need help. Don't tell me how I got into this. I already know how I
just need the help.
How do I get out?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is the best stage, usually, that we are able to help someone. It is almost impossible to help a person who is still climbing this ladder.
Yes.
You wait for him to come down, then you can talk. So first and foremost is to be truthful to yourself. Alcoholics, they manipulate and tell lies so much. And the problem with lies is that when you speak a lie for so long, you tend to believe it.
Yes, that's true.
It's good to lie to others, but self-deception, it is bad enough to lie to others, but self-deception is even worse.
Yeah, it's worse.
So you have to get to the point and you're like, now I have to be honest with myself. I need help. An alcoholic, unlike other drugs, you can go turkey, you can just stop. But with alcoholics, because it has changed the structure of your brain, your system, your physiology has been altered. Sometimes when you just withdraw alcohol, in some cases, the body, because of the withdrawal effects, because of the dependence on this substance, the danger with alcohol is that you may even get into seizures, you may convulse. So if someone wants to get out of it, accept, but begin by going to look for help, and that is detoxification.
Yes. Because
the help, there is the physical help, there is the mental help, and there is even spiritual help.
Yes, spiritual help.
So admit, then go look for physical help for detoxification.
Yes.
In the immediate term.
Yes, detoxification. And another thing that is, of course, related to that, we've seen rehabilitation centers helping people with such issues to recover from alcohol as one of the many things that people become addicted to. What are the practical ways that rehabilitation centers use to help these people? The practical ways, so that even someone who does not believe in rehabilitation centers can know that if I go to this center, depending on the issue that I have and the level that I'm at, they are going to help me in this way.
Yeah, thank you. I think I just touched one.
Detoxification.
Detoxification.
Yes.
So the first thing, the immediate thing is to help you to cope with the withdrawal effects.
Yes.
And there are medications for that, which you can only get in these rehabilitation centers. And they will also give you, there are well-laid procedures, evidence-based procedures, like there's what they call psychosocial therapy, where basically you get to talk with a professional in the interest that you get to open up.
Yes.
And establish a working relationship and talk about the situation and talk about the gravity of the situation. So that is practical in the immediate term after detoxification. What follows next is to get to have some health education for you to get to know what you're up against.
Yes.
And then in the medium term, we can have other therapies like cognitive behavior therapy. These are basically to just help you to change your thought patterns, to realign your emotions, to be able to act differently in different circumstances, your actions, to be able to manage like stress, to be able to cope with a crisis, to be able to establish other relationships, social relationships.
Yes.
Those are all practical ways with behavior therapy. There's group therapy in rehabilitation centers. You get to speak with people, to meet with people
who face the same,
who have the same issues. Some have overcome.
Yes.
Some are worse off than you.
Yes.
So it's an enabling environment for you to say, I'm not alone in this.
Yes.
And then you get, they are called self-help groups.
Yes.
And of course, relapse prevention is also another tangible thing that is given so that you know how to handle your situation without resorting to alcohol.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Denis AKANDWANAHO. Just reminding you that we are discussing how to recover from alcohol abuse. And we've just seen how rehabilitation centers help people with alcohol issues to recover from that vice. Then, Denis, one more thing that one would ask is, having seen what rehabilitation centers help people with such issues, me as an individual, or you as an individual, is there anything that I can do to help a friend of mine, a relative, a family member or so, that is having this issue of being alcoholic, of being addicted to alcohol? From an individual level, is there anything I can do, or is just rehabilitation centers, policymakers, blah, blah, blah?
I think that the family has a lot to play. The family members, first of all, you need to have enough knowledge.
Yes.
If you're tuning in right now, you're already being exposed on how to go about it.
Yes.
So people should try to find out as much as they can, especially parents, so that you don't even wait for your child to become an alcoholic. You look for those signs that are out of the normal. Don't just think, he will grow out of it, or even deny and hope for the best. It won't be the best, but the good thing is that get to know about the situation, get to know how to help without hurting. By that I mean, and I always emphasize it here, do not enable the person. Enabling simply means you're shielding your loved one from the consequences of their behaviors.
Yes.
So until that person feels the negative consequences, then they will not consider changing. But you love them, however you let them face the consequence. If it is maybe punishment, sometimes they get arrested, let them go through the whole process.
So that they can feel it.
So they can know that meanwhile, I have the freedom to make my choice, but I have no freedom to
face the
to choose the consequences which to face.
Yes.
Yes. Then that's a good place to start. Most people like to shield, and also you also share, if they are teenagers, share with them some problems or some struggles you're going through, so that they get to know that everyone meets problems, everyone meets struggles, but not everyone who encounters problems resorts to alcohol. They identify with you.
Yes.
Yeah, and be a good example. If you're a parent or someone and you're drinking, it is very hard for you to tell someone to seek help because they see you doing the very thing.
Yes.
So other than telling them to do, not to drink, you
show them,
then they will learn from you as a good example.
Yes. That's a very good point. We have to lead by example, especially as parents. We all grew up looking at our parents, looking up to our parents, and whatever you saw them doing, that's what you did the next day. Even when babies grow up, like a new baby born, you'll find that the words that they speak, the things that they do, these are the things that they saw in their environment. So if you're a parent and you're following us right now, make sure that you show the right path to your children, not in words only, but in what you do. Dennis, one more thing that one can ask is, we've seen people going in rehabilitation centers. We've seen people quitting drugs in a certain period of time, but this time we're discussing about alcohol. But in like 1 year or 2 years, they go back to that same habit. Mm-hmm. What are the causes of such things? And how can we, of course, overcome it?
Yeah, as I said, that you have to look at all aspects. Mm. Maybe the medical aspect focuses majorly on the physical and the mental, which is very good. Mm. But there are some other aspects like the spiritual bit.
Spiritual, yeah.
You know, we call ourselves Christians, we call ourselves Muslims, but we do not apply these things in our day-to-day life. Mm. So sometimes you come from the rehabilitation center with a long list of things that you have to do to become sober. But when you want long-term now, I spoke about short-term, mid-term. Mm. If you want long-term or sustained recovery, consider transformation.
Yes.
Because now you will not do to become, but you will be. And because you are, you start acting in a certain way.
Definitely.
From inside out. Not we can give you advice. I can talk all we want the whole day here. Mm. But the best advice someone can get is that from within themselves.
Definitely.
So sometimes people do not, it is just superficial. It's not a total transformation. So you just abstained from alcohol, but your character is still the same.
Still the same.
Your personality is still the same. So that's what they call being a dry drunk. Mm. The only thing that is out is the alcohol. Yet alcohol is the effect. It's not the cause of you. It is a symptom of the root issue. Mm. So until you get to know your root cause, you will not have a sustained recovery.
Yes. That's very true. That's very true. And thank you very much for highlighting on the religious or spiritual aspect. Because at times, I mean, we're not trying to be religious or preach here, say, receive Christ as your Lord and Savior, but I've seen many examples of people who, and you're one of the examples, of people who were once drug addicts, but since the time they shifted to being spiritual, getting to know God, reading the Bible, or even other spiritual or religious books, they go to that root cause. And once the cause is dealt with, then the effects will no longer be there. And one more thing that one can ask is, as we wind up, of course, what advice can you give to someone who is right now following us and they are like struggling with alcohol? And if you can also highlight on the aspect of process, because at times we tell people you can quit alcohol, but we forget that it's a process. Like it's not, you're not going to change in a blink of an eye. It's a process. Maybe before we even go to the advice, what can you talk about concerning the process issue? Like quitting drugs or alcohol being a process.
Yeah, the starting point is that they are now tuned in and they are watching, because someone who's not ready to receive help will not even listen in into such a discussion.
Yes.
So if you're out there and you're struggling and you've taken 30 minutes of your time to listen, that's a good point, a good starting point. Mm. And then also get to understand that you did not get into this. It took you months to get into where you are. Definitely. So it will take you some time also to get out completely, because it's more like it's a grip where you don't just release all the fingers at a go, but you keep releasing one by one. Mm. I always tell the people I help that this struggle is one soldier at a time. Mm. You know, like two armies face each other. You don't just throw a bomb and they're all dead. No. It is hand-to-hand combat. Mm. And victory comes when all the enemy, because in the situation you are in, you're having attacks from different directions.
Definitely.
Many things. So one day at a time, one soldier at a time, one issue at a time, and before you know it, you're free. And you spoke about the spiritual aspect, which I emphasize myself, because you cannot rely on the flesh to overcome the flesh. Because it's the very brain that's meant to help you is the one having issues, but the spirit always overcomes the flesh.
Yes.
Yeah, so it helps a lot. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, as we wind up, which message can you give to someone who's been following us? We have many categories of people following us right now. There is someone who is facing the problem of alcohol, but there is also someone who has not yet tested or being an addict, to say. And maybe which advice can you give to those two categories? There is someone who is not facing this issue that we are discussing right now, but there is also a person who is following or who is facing this issue.
Yeah, to the one who has not started yet, you don't start, because sometimes you think alcohol is a simple issue, it's legal, it's not hard drug, yes. But once you get indulged in it, you know, it becomes boring, and before you know it, you want another form of excitement. So it grows. It never stops. It never stops at where you thought it would stop.
Yes. And
it's not worth it, because it will take you off focus from what you wanted to do in life. So it's why the hassle? Because if I told you this, for example, it's a bank, quickly, that you know, this bank is going to be closed down in 3 months, would you still take your money there?
You can't.
No, you know, it is still open, but it's doomed already. So if we stand here, I'll sit here every day and tell you this road is a dead end. It's a dead end. Why would you still take the risk to take that side?
And you're speaking from experience, of course. I
am telling you, 17 years of my life wasted in such lifestyle. Of course, I know I learned my lessons, but you don't have to learn the hard way. For those who are in there, there is hope. There is hope. Right now, you know at least that there is someone out there who has conquered it. And if it is possible with one person, it is always possible with another. So whatever it is you're going through, alcohol will not solve the problem. It will just create another problem. Some people, as one person said that I drink to drown my sorrow. And I told them that sorrow knows how to swim.
Yes.
So it's better there are other ways. Seek help. You cannot do it alone.
Yes.
That is for a fact. You can't do it alone. Seek help for detoxification especially. Seek help for therapies, and then also see how long term, one day at a time. But there is hope. It is a journey, but a journey of 1,000 steps begins with 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Yes, thank you very much, Denis AKANDWANAHO. That was very, very insightful. And as he's just said, don't lose hope. If you're on that journey of quitting alcohol, don't lose hope. If he made it for 17 years being a drug addict, and he's now preaching to the same people that they used to drink together and have those drugs together, then it's possible to you as well that you can quit those drugs. And of course, this marks the end of our today's show. Thank you very much, Denis AKANDWANAHO, for your time.
It's always a pleasure to be here, my friend.
Yes.
And I'm always ready to come back.
Yes, and of course we'll have you back. Trust me on that.
Thank you, I look forward to that.
Yes, and thank you too for your company. Until next time, I'm Lavi Mutanganchuro. Just to remind you that in case you missed any of our previous episodes, you can find it on our different social media platforms and on our YouTube channel, Purpose Rwanda. On other social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, our username is Purpose Rwanda. Have a great time.